how are we? Welcome to episode 10 in my series of videos on zonal marketing, a brand new model which uses the tactical lessons taken from football management to help you to understand, plan and measure your marketing activity effectively. I'm Simon Vincent, the marketing tactician, and in this episode, the second of 4 videos that will focus on marketing tactics, I'm going to be exploring how to communicate value, drive loyalty, and frankly, get away with charging a premium. In the last episode on tiki-taka marketing, I discussed how to persuade customers to overcome reservations they may have about a high cost of product. Today, we're going to be principally dealing with the question of value. And it's important that we don't confuse value with cost. So let's first of all dig into the differences between the two. A high-cost product is one that is expensive, even if only in relative terms. So remember my example of Starbucks coffees being actually quite pricey for what they are, even though most of us could afford to buy one. A high-value product is one that has emotional resonance to customers, even if it's actually quite cheap. So this value could be manifest in terms of the product representing their customers' beliefs or opinions. It could simply be that owning a product from brand X boosts the customer's self-esteem through feeling that they look good or clever or rich or belong to a particular kind of tribe, for example. As such, you're dealing with a head/heart, or brains versus veins, as Ralph Rangnick likes to put it, split. To get a customer to buy a high-cost product, you persuade them with rational logic. Help them to understand and associate the product with being an essential or intrinsic part of improving their everyday life. By contrast, you get a customer to buy a high-value product by appealing to their emotions. Make them feel that owning the product says something about them or their values. We'll go into the marketing in greater detail in the third part of this essay, but as we know, tactics in both football and marketing relate to how we bring together a disparate collection of things, players or marketing channels, as a coherent whole, helping them to be more than the sum of their parts. And so, to illustrate how this works, let's start with a footballing analogy so that we have a frame of reference. In the last essay, I talked about how Pep Guardiola enjoyed success at Barcelona through dominating possession in the defence and midfield while creating space in the final third. This system is popularly known as tiki-taka in the world of football. In 2010, Portuguese manager José Mourinho took charge of Barca's arch-rivals Real Madrid, and mindful that his success or failure as the Madrid boss would be defined by his team's performance against Guardiola's, Mourinho went about creating a system that was the very antithesis of his rivals. So where the Catalans wanted possession of the ball, Real were happy to be without it for long periods of time. Where Barcelona tried to create space in attack, Madrid resisted the urge to be dragged out of position and kept things tight defensively. While Guardiola wanted his team to be totally front foot, Mourinho was happy to lure the opposition in, exposing space in behind. The Special Ones formation was centred around having 2 strong, ball-winning centre-backs in Sergio Ramos and Pepe. It was their job to sit deep, to keep the full-backs tight and well-organised, and win the ball back with disruptive tackling, harrying, and well-timed interceptions. This possession-regaining function of the defence is the first tenet of Mourinho's counter-attacking tactical approach. From there, the centre-backs would pass the ball to the midfield maestro Xabi Alonso, whose long, direct balls through the centre of the field would be picked up by the clinical striker Karim Benzema. And this is the second tenet of counter-attacking, a direct, space-constricting approach through the middle of the park. And Benzema was supported by inverted wingers, so we have Cristiano Ronaldo and Angel Di Maria. By inverted, of course, I mean that the right-footed Cristiano Ronaldo was playing on the left wing, and the left-footed Di Maria was playing on the right. Now, why is this important? Because it emphasises the third tenet of great counter-attacking football, and that is the narrowness of the attacking play. Why do counter-attacking sides keep things narrow? Because when you have limited possession and your game is based on drawing your opponent onto you, when you do get the ball, you need to get it to your strikers as quickly as possible, and that means going by the very most direct route. Playing this way, Madrid won the 2011-2012 La Liga title, setting records for most games won in a season, most away wins, most points obtained in any of the top European leagues, most goals scored, and highest goal difference, which is not bad for a manager typically associated with parking the bus. Crucially, Madrid also beat Barcelona 2-1 in El Clasico at Camp Nou, a result that prompted Guardiola to concede the title. So what lessons can we take from Mourinho's style when setting up a tactical marketing approach? Well, let's remind ourselves of the major tenets of counter-attacking: possession, regaining defenders; space, constricting midfielders and strikers; and a very narrow approach in possession. Applying everything we've looked at in previous episodes of Zonal Marketing, this is how we'd set up a comms plan based on a counter-attacking approach. Possession-winning defenders means brand-focused content being shared on the audience channels. So this means reinforcing core values that your company is built upon on any channel on which your customer can talk to you, about you, or to others about you. So what type of content does Red Bull share on its social media channels? Well, it's not pictures of cans of caffeinated soft drinks, it's videos of people personifying their "gives you wings" catchphrase, snowboarding, skating, or even skydiving from a space station. Second tenet, space constricting midfielders and attackers means product-focused content on broadcast and conversion channels. Broadcast conversion. Telling the customer just details about what it is that you sell, removing any friction that might be caused by subjectivity. Where possible, adding a little bit of social proof just to up the FOMO, and scarcity too, to induce action. That's the way to constrict space and most efficiently push the customer towards a sale. Narrowness through the midfield means only using the channels where you can be super focused in your targeting. Where possible, you want to build brand awareness through your audience channels, but then reduce the amount of wasted dollars on your broadcast channels through making sure that the only people who see your ads or own communications are those who are in market or match a specific profile that you've identified for your target customer. One brand that absolutely typifies this counter-attacking approach to marketing is Tesla. Tesla are famous for not advertising. Now, that doesn't mean that you won't find them through any of the broadcast channels. What it does mean is that you'll have to seek out their content on that domain. So you won't see a Tesla ad on TV, but if you go to their YouTube channel, you will find tons of short videos emphasizing space-constricting product points, such as the quality of their glass, solar hardware, or app. Similarly, they keep things streamlined when it comes to conversion channels. Unlike the traditional car manufacturers, and I spoke about BMW in my previous video on Tiki-Taka, Tesla doesn't have dealerships all over the place. They're not trying to stay top of mind. They have very few sales centers, all furnished in a very minimalist way because they were designed by the same guy who did Apple's stores. And here's the kicker, you can't even buy a Tesla in one of them. You have to go to the website. In zonal marketing terms, what we have is YouTube videos in the narrow customer demanded section and a narrow approach to physical stores, all supporting a website that does all the selling and an app that supports in the possession retention. What about their defense? Their audience channels. Now this is where their founder Elon Musk really comes to the fore. So most obviously, Musk gives the company some width of messaging through the relatively limited PR opportunities that he carries out. So think of PR as a channel being Marcelo or Alvaro Arbeloa in this case. But then on social media, Musk, yes Musk, the billionaire founder of the company, not a minimum wage customer service exec, he answers questions, fields complaints, and speaks on his company's behalf regularly. At one point, a customer complained to Musk on Twitter about charges in LA. Musk replied, agreeing that the customer's experience wasn't satisfactory, and managed to update the software in every single Tesla on the planet to combat the issue in just 6 days. On both of these channels, the fact that they're handled directly by the founder, the living embodiment of the Tesla brand, the fact that Musk's style is particularly, shall we say, particular, and the fact that on every single occasion Musk shows up living and breathing the Tesla brand values of progressive technology, speed of execution, and challenging the status quo means this is the brand-focused possession-regaining content. It's Sergio Ramos crashing into a tackle two-footed, shocks people, amazes them, and practically forces potential customers and press alike to comment, share, and talk about the company, raising awareness of the brand. Tesla weaponizes this word of mouth by getting customers to do their advertising for them. Their hugely noteworthy referral scheme at one point offered $1,000 kickback to anyone who referred a friend through the app, a scheme that helped one customer earn $10,000 in one fell swoop, while of course selling 10 cars on Tesla's behalf. Now, even taking into account the 10 grand kickback, that's a fairly decent ROI for Elon Musk, I can tell you. So why does Tesla take this approach? Why do brands like Apple, Patagonia, and Nike do variations of it? What's the problem, the resistance within their customers that they're trying to overcome? In each case, there are questions over the amount of differentiation in the market. How do each of these companies communicate that their product is special in a world full of all the other car, trainer, clothing, or electronics companies that are out there? How do they convince you that their goods hold an inherent additional value that allows those companies to charge a premium for them? In addition, there's a question of loyalty. So prior to Apple, realistically, how loyal were you to any particular electronics brand? And yet, since you bought that iPod in the mid-2010s, how many iPhones, iPads, Macs, AirPods, watches, and Apple TV products have you bought since? In Tesla's case, there was a more extreme form of this, in as much as there were already a huge multitude of car companies out there when they launched, and while only a select few of us are truly fiercely loyal to any of the traditional car manufacturers, we were all pretty married to the idea of petrol and diesel cars in 2012. Electric cars at that point were a joke. Everything we knew about them was that they were slow, couldn't go very far, and frankly weren't cool. Glorified milk floats, no matter how noble their aims were. Look who's laughing now. Tesla's counter-attacking approach to their marketing meant that they could say, we'll allow the traditional manufacturers to dominate our customers' attention, possession. We'll build a roots-up, defense-first approach that focuses on serving and empowering our early adopter customers. And once the masses are exposed to our message and higher value product through those audience channels, we'll make it as easy as possible to sell to them by allowing them to buy even from their, probably Apple branded, mobile phone. In summary, counter-attacking marketing works for companies that are trying to communicate a higher purpose, cause, or belief. Brands that stand for something more wide-reaching than simply the products that they make. It's effective in building brand loyalty and establishing differentiation within crowded markets. That allows you to communicate a higher value of product and therefore charge a premium. For more reading on this form of marketing, I highly recommend Simon Sinek's Start With Why and Seth Godin's This Is Marketing. Okay, that's all for today. Check back here for a new video every week, each one explaining another part of the marketing process through a footballing lens. If you're enjoying what you're watching, please do like and comment, and while you're at it, why not tell your mates to tell their mates? After all, we all have a duty to share these things we know so that we may improve the lives of others. I am available for speaking gigs, training sessions, and client work, and if you'd like to talk to me about any of that, you can do so by visiting x-cmo.com. In the next session, I'll be talking about the third of the 4 main marketing tactical approaches, gegenpressing. I'll be explaining what it is, what kinds of companies use it, and how to solve what kind of problem, and how you can organize your channels, targeting, and content to get the most out of that approach too. Until then, thank you very much for joining me for this episode of Zonal Marketing, and I'll see you next time.